Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds bilateral talks with Canadian counterpart Mark Carney in New Delhi. Pacts on critical minerals, uranium and others signed. Goal set to ink a trade pact by the end of 2026. West Asia war worsens. 3 US fighter jets downed in friendly fire over Kuwait. Israel kills at least 31 Hezbollah militants. And Iran's projectiles shut down the biggest Saudi oil refinery and Qatar Energy's LNG production. And oil surges over 8%, as does gas. Gold rises by 2%. Dollar also strengthens against most currencies. Global markets bleed, with India's BSE Sensex settling nearly 1,050 points lower, Nifty below 24,900. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday held talks with his Canadian counterpart Mark Carney in New Delhi. Both the leaders reviewed the progress achieved till date across diverse areas of the India-Canada strategic partnership, building on their earlier meetings in Kananaskis in June 2025 and Johannesburg in November the same year. The leaders also took stock of the ongoing cooperation in key pillars including trade and investment, energy, critical minerals, agriculture, education, research and innovation, and people-to-people ties. They also exchanged views on regional and global developments. India and Canada have also increased engagement across all sectors with MOUs on critical minerals, terms of reference for a comprehensive economic partnership or CEPA. Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar exchanged documents of the MOUs on promoting the use of renewable energy and cultural cooperation. Canada announced its decision to join the International Solar Alliance and the Global Biofuel Alliance, further aligning with India's clean energy initiatives. In civil nuclear cooperation, the leaders said they would also explore collaboration on small modular reactors and advanced reactor technologies. On the current situation in West Asia, Prime Minister Modi said that India has consistently called for maintaining peace and stability.
विश्व में चल रहे अनेक तनावों को लेकर भारत की सोच स्पष्ट ही है। हमने सदैव शांति और स्थिरता बनाए रखने का आह्वान किया है और जब दो लोकतंत्र साथ खड़े होते हैं तो शांति की आवाज और भी सशक्त हो जाती है। पश्चिम एशिया की वर्तमान स्थिति हमारे लिए गहरी चिंता का विषय है। भारत डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी के माध्यम से सभी विवादों का समाधान का समर्थन करता है। इस क्षेत्र में मौजूद सभी भारतीय नागरिकों की सुरक्षा के लिए हम सभी देशों के साथ मिलकर काम करते रहेंगे। डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रीज, मैरीटाइम डोमेन अवेयरनेस और मिलिट्री एक्सचेंजेस बढ़ाने पर काम करेंगे। इसी उद्देश्य से आज हमने इंडिया कनाडा डिफेंस डायलॉग की स्थापना करने का निर्णय लिया है।
Addressing the media, the Canadian Prime Minister hailed Prime Minister Modi's leadership, saying that in the past decade, India has become the fastest growing large economy in the world.
In the last decade, under your leadership, Prime Minister, India has become the fastest growing economy in the world. Per capita incomes in this country have risen at a pace never seen in history, seldom in human history. The most ambitious projects in clean energy, in the digital economy, in biofuels, in the next generation of artificial intelligence talent are all here in India. Prime Minister, Canada shares such ambition and your sense of purpose.
Later, Prime Minister Modi and the Canadian Prime Minister attended the India-Canada Chief Executive Officers Forum in New Delhi, engaging CEOs in elevating bilateral trade to $50 billion and beyond, finalizing the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA, and to collaborate on clean energy, artificial intelligence, critical minerals and infrastructure. In his address at the India-Canada CEOs Forum, Prime Minister Modi urged deepening of ties beyond capitals, linking provinces and states for true prosperity.
हमारी साझेदारी केवल नेशनल कैपिटल तक सीमित नहीं रहनी चाहिए। हमें इसे स्टेट्स और प्रोविंसेस तक ले जाना होगा। अल्बर्टा के नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज को गुजरात और राजस्थान के रिन्यूएबल एम्बिशंस से जोड़ना होगा। ओंटारियो की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्ट्रेंथ को तमिलनाडु और महाराष्ट्र के इंडस्ट्रियल क्लस्टर्स के साथ मिलाना होगा। मॉन्ट्रियल के टेक इकोसिस्टम को बेंगलुरु और हैदराबाद के इनोवेशन हब्स के साथ इंटीग्रेट करना होगा। तभी हम इस साझेदारी को पॉलिसी से प्रॉस्पेरिटी में बदल पाएंगे।
Further, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the natural partnership between India and Canada at the CEOs Forum, emphasizing shared values and economic goals to boost bilateral ties through trade and agreements.
भारत और कनाडा वाइब्रेंट डेमोक्रेसीज है, विश्व की दो बड़ी इकोनॉमीज है, साझा मूल्यों पर आधारित सोसाइटीज है। डेमोक्रेसी, डाइवर्सिटी और डेवलपमेंट हमें नेचुरल पार्टनर के रूप में आगे बढ़ने की प्रेरणा देते हैं। आज प्रधानमंत्री कार्नी और मैंने हमारे साझा विजन को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए एक महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय लिए। हम द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को $50 बिलियन के स्तर पर ले जाने के लिए निरंतर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। हम जल्द से जल्द कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप एग्रीमेंट को फाइनलाइज करेंगे।
At the India-Canada CEO Forum, Vijay Ram Nakra, president of Mahindra & Mahindra's farm equipment business, said that with the support from the CII and the Canada Business Forum, both the nations will form working groups to advance agreements and boost bilateral investments.
We also had an opportunity to debrief the two prime ministers on the topics that we spoke about, and with all the support that we've got from CII and the Canada Business Forum, the two countries, along with the support from them, will move forward to identify smaller working groups so that we'll be able to take this agenda forward, get the agreement signed between the two countries, and look at also how we can partner in terms of bilateral investment between the two countries going forward.
Confederation of Indian Industry Director General Chandrajit Banerjee, also at the India-Canada CEO Forum, said that translating leader-level ties into business gains was discussed, along with boosting bilateral investments in India's thriving sectors and linking states with Canadian provinces for a phenomenal relationship reboot.
Transmission of the relationship that we see between the two leaders can come down to the business. So that was one. Second, of course, we spoke a lot about the opportunities of bilateral investments into India. Today, India is attracting so much of investments in different areas. The third, very interesting area that came up was how do we get Indian states and the Canadian provinces to work with each other. And fourth, of course, a very quick conclusion of the CEPA. Fifth, there was, of course, this huge a number of areas from defense to agriculture where we talked about collaboration. So it was just a phenomenal start and a reboot to the relationship.
At the same CEO forum, Suzlon Energy Limited's co-founder and vice chairperson Girish Tanti said that this marks the start of a new chapter in bilateral ties.
What has been concluded largely today is that this is the starting of a new chapter.
between both the countries. We are reigniting the relationship. And this is the beginning of the new journey. We will be following up with a similar CEO forum in Canada in the coming time. And both countries have agreed to set a pace to develop our trade agreement going ahead.
And speaking to media persons in New Delhi, India's Ministry of External Affairs Secretary E.S. P. Kumaran highlighted the wide-ranging and constructive discussions between Prime Minister Modi and his Canadian counterpart, where they reaffirmed their shared commitment to rebuilding strategic trust and anchoring the relationship in mutual respect, sovereignty and democratic values.
Earlier today, the Prime Ministers held wide-ranging and constructive discussions. They reaffirmed their shared commitment to rebuild strategic trust, strengthen institutional cooperation, and anchor the relationship in mutual respect, sovereignty, and democratic values. The leaders' joint statement articulates a structured vision for the renewed India-Canada strategic partnership, anchored in the guiding principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future. In that sense, the joint statement provides a long-term framework, political, economic, technological, and strategic, to guide bilateral engagement over the coming decade.
Ahead of the meeting with Prime Minister Modi, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar had called on the visiting dignitary in New Delhi. Dr. Jaishankar appreciated Prime Minister Carney's commitment towards charting a forward-looking partnership. Also in New Delhi is Rwanda's Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Minister Olivier Nduhungirehe, who arrived this morning on an official visit. At the airport, the visiting dignitary was received by Joint Secretary for East and Southern Africa at India's Ministry of External Affairs. During his visit, Rwandan Foreign Minister will attend the 11th Raisina Dialogue and the 2nd India-Rwanda Joint Commission meeting. Indian naval sailing vessel Kaundinya was ceremonially flagged off into Mumbai harbour by Minister of State for Defence Sanjay Seth on Monday. The flag-in ceremony signified the culmination of INSV Kaundinya's historic journey to the Sultanate of Oman and her return passage across the Arabian Sea, reaffirming India's enduring maritime heritage and centuries-old linkages between India and Oman across the Indian Ocean. INSV Kaundinya is a traditionally constructed stitched ship built entirely using ancient Indian techniques in which wooden planks are hand-stitched together with coir rope and sealed using natural resins. The vessel represents a revival of India's rich maritime craftsmanship and reflects the nation's commitment to rediscovering and preserving its Indic knowledge systems.
For me personally, this journey carries a special meaning. I was first shown the image of an Ajanta painting sail ship for reconstruction in December 2021. From that moment to tracing down the traditional artisans, working on the design with Hodi Innovation and model testing with IIT Madras, overseeing the construction and finally sailing on her across the open ocean, it has been an incredible journey and a privilege that I will always cherish.
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. IAEA head urges utmost restraint after strikes on Iran. Nepal political rivals rally on the final day of the election campaign ahead of the national elections. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, the conflict in West Asia is widening as US, Israel and Iran continue to exchange strikes across multiple fronts. The latest wave has been launched by Iran towards Israel. Israel on Monday said it had launched offensive airstrikes against Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Footage released by the Israeli army showed strikes on Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon, within quotes, in an offensive campaign against them. In Kuwait, black smoke was seen rising from the U.S. embassy on Monday. The U.S. military said that Kuwaiti air defenses mistakenly shot down 3 U.S. F-15 fighter jets flying in Iran-related operations. All 6 aircrew have been safely recovered and are in stable condition. There's a probe on into what went wrong. And Israel also said it is striking at the heart of Tehran and is launching attacks on Lebanon after the militant group Hezbollah said it had launched rockets and drones at Israel. The Israeli military told residents of about 50 towns and villages in Lebanon, which were to be evacuated, warning of further strikes against the Hezbollah. Air raid sirens echoed across Israel, including Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, early Monday morning after the Israeli military reported missile launches from Iran. The escalation comes a day after Israel carried out fresh airstrikes in Tehran following the killing of Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In response, Iran launched multiple missile barrages, triggering alerts across the country, with residents seen rushing to shelters amid fears of further strikes. Saudi Arabia shut its Ras Tanura refinery on Monday after it was hit by a drone on the 3rd day of the strikes. The refinery was shut as a precautionary measure after 2 drones were intercepted at the facility, with debris causing a limited fire with no casualties reported. The Ras Tanura complex on the kingdom's Gulf Coast houses one of the region's largest refineries with a capacity of 550,000 barrels per day and serves as a critical export terminal for Saudi crude. And a drone strike hit Britain's Royal Air Force base of Akrotiri in Cyprus, which caused limited damage with no casualties reported. Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulidis said that the Shahed-type unmanned aerial vehicle crashed into military facilities around midnight. He further clarified that his country does not participate in any way and does not intend to be part of any military operation.
We find ourselves in a region of particular geopolitical instability with a lot of challenges and problems, which is experiencing an unprecedented crisis. I want to be clear, our country is not participating in any way and does not intend to be part of any military operation. We remain committed to the humanitarian role we have served throughout this time, always as part of the solution and not the problem.
Ali Larijani, the powerful head of Tehran's Supreme National Security Council, on Monday stressed that Iran will not negotiate with the United States. In a post on social media platform, Larijani denied media reports that Iranian officials had sought to initiate talks with the Trump administration following a wave of US-Israeli strikes on Iran over the weekend, which came after Tehran and Washington held nuclear negotiations. Earlier, Trump had claimed that Iran's new leadership wanted to talk to him and that he has agreed. In the meantime, UN nuclear watchdog head Rafael Grossi on Monday said that efforts to contact the Iranian nuclear regulatory authorities continue with no response so far. Opening a special session on Iran of the Board of Governors of the International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna, he urged utmost restraint in military operations, citing risks to nuclear reactors amid Israeli-US strikes and retaliatory Iranian missile strikes.
Efforts to contact the Iranian nuclear regulatory authorities through the IEC continue with no response so far. Arab Emirates has 4 operating nuclear reactors. Jordan and Syria have operational nuclear research reactors. Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia have also been attacked. These countries all use nuclear applications of some sort or the other. We therefore urge utmost restraint in all military operations.
European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen on Monday called for urgent de-escalation to prevent the US-Israeli conflict with Iran from spreading across West Asia. Speaking in Brussels, she warned that regional stability was of the utmost importance. Listen in.
We must work hard to de-escalate and stop the conflict spreading. In the last hours, we have witnessed numerous attacks, including a drone attack targeting the British airbase in Cyprus. We also saw a strike on the Saudi Aramco oil facility, and I condemn in the strongest terms these reckless and indiscriminate attacks by Iran and its proxies against sovereign territories across the region.
Meanwhile, the US Central Command has also put out that a fourth US service member has also been killed in action, was earlier wounded. 3 were announced yesterday, another has been announced just a short while ago. Now, air travel across the West Asian region and beyond has been thrown into turmoil as escalating tensions have led to widespread airspace closures, flight cancellations and route diversions. Governments and airlines worldwide are issuing guidance to travelers while attempting to safeguard civilians and aviation operations. The crisis rooted in the ongoing US-Israel-Iran conflict has quickly evolved into not only a geopolitical flashpoint but also a major logistical and economic shock to global mobility. Meanwhile, in India, flight disruptions to and from West Asia have significantly impacted operations at several airports as key regional airspaces remain closed amid the US-Iran and Israel conflict, now in its 3rd day. Now, moving on, today is the last day of Nepal's election campaigning, with rival leaders making a final push in a tightly contested race. The Himalayan Republic will elect a new parliament on Thursday, replacing the interim government, which has led the country since the September 2025 uprising. Sushila Karki, who is serving as interim Prime Minister until the 5th of March vote, has said the election will draw the future of the country. Among the key figures is KP Sharma Oli, the 74-year-old Marxist leader ousted as Prime Minister last year. He faces a high-profile challenge in his home constituency from former Kathmandu Mayor Barendra Shah, a 35-year-old rapper turned politician. 2 weeks of campaigning have showcased a wave of younger candidates promising to tackle Nepal's woeful economy, challenging veteran politicians. Now, amid the recent conflict in West Asia, oil prices have soared and stocks have fallen across the world, including Asia on Monday. Oil prices surged over 8%, with Brent crude futures rising as much as 13% to $82.37 a barrel and then cooling. Meanwhile, equity markets across Asia have also sunk. In Japan, the benchmark Nikkei 225 fell 1.35%. The Taiwan Stock Exchange capitalization weighted stock index declined by 0.9%. US futures were also down more than 1%. Shanghai edged up and Sydney was flat. While the strikes have ramped up geopolitical worries, gold climbed 2% and the dollar strengthened against most currencies. Global equities were hit hard. India's benchmark indices saw deep losses, with the BSE Sensex settling nearly 1,050 points lower and the Nifty slipping below 24,900. That's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code on the screen to download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.